Good day, everyone. This is John Scarborough. I wanted to talk a little bit today about drought management and how to keep forage, keep your forage available, keep it looking like this. Nice deep grass, even in the middle of a drought. We've had one of the hottest droughts. Well, some people in our part of the country are saying it's one of the worst droughts in history here. And then I've heard other people say that it's one of the worst droughts in the last couple hundred years here. So I don't really know, but I do know that it's the driest I've ever seen it in our part of the country. There's people selling cows out everywhere. They flooded the market, so the price of cattle has dropped. So then now a lot of people are trying to hold on, but they're starving their cows trying to do it. And you know, the price of hay is already shot up through the roof, and so it's just tougher and tougher. And you know, you're looking at some really hard times and possibly a big struggle in the winter. And so far we've been fortunate, you know, and we've been able to do all right through all of that. And we feel very, very fortunate to be able to do that. This is not the best grass in the world, but considering what we've got right now, considering this has had no fertilizer, you know, we've put no nitrogen, nothing at all on any of this. And we've still got this to feed our cows. I mean, probably in about a week from now, we're going to move them into this. And where they're at right now has got this same thing. In fact, the grass is better in the pasture they're in now. And that we've actually got more weeds in the other pasture. But the grass itself is even better. And I don't know that the weeds have been our enemy over there, because they're not so thick that they're choking the grass out, but yet they're tall enough. They're offering a little bit of shade to the soil. I don't know that for sure. I don't like weeds any more than anybody else does. But it's something you got to think about with all of this. But I wanted to touch on what we've done to prepare for this drought, and how it is that in August 1st, when everybody else is hurting, we're able to have, you know, I mean, that's plenty forage. That's a lot of forage. These cows are going to be able to get this, and then they're going to be able to keep moving forward, and hopefully we'll be able to keep on getting grazing like this. Now, I can't predict the future. Things could get worse off, you know. We may end up even having to sell some cows, and you never know. If the market gets too flooded, you might not even be able to sell them at all, you know. But one of the things that we did, guys, early on is, for a short time there, the price of cattle actually went way up. Or at least in our area it did. It went up high enough that I knew that I could sell my mamas, some of my older mamas, I could sell them for more than I had paid for them. So I had bought them as heifers, and I paid a fair price for what it was at the time. And when I had bought them, of course, I tried to buy low, but you can't always. Some of them I was able to buy a little low, and some of them I was able to buy for a very fair price. But the price of cattle went up, and I knew that this drought was coming, and it was looking bad. So I went and I destocked a little bit. I sold some off, and that definitely helped some. But the nice thing is I was able to make a pretty good profit off of them, even after owning them. I had owned them for 5 years, made good money on all their calves, you know, did good on that, and then turned around and sold them as older mamas. But the next thing I did is I sold my calves, and that's, you know, some of the older mamas that I sold were what I had considered calves. They were still calving. They had given me a calf every year, you know, but they didn't do as well, or their calves didn't do as well as some of my others. You know, I tell a lot of people, you know, a call for me is not always a bad cow, you know, because I call really heavy. I started out with only 10 cows, and so I was real careful to not try to get money hungry and hurry up and make money. Instead, I wanted to be more careful and grow slow and call heavy, and you know, and as a result, it's paying me dividends now later on in the game. And I'm really glad that I did all of that. But that helped out a lot, you know, getting rid of those calves, because you're getting rid of not only mamas but also calves that don't gain as well. A lot of times I've heard people say, well, Well, if they don't gain as well, it's because they're not eating as much. That's not necessarily the case. I think we've all seen those people that lose weight. So, I mean, they keep weight off no matter what. And it seems like no matter what they eat, they just keep weight off. Well, that's because it has to do with the amount of, some of it has to do with the amount of fat cells that a person has, that a person is actually born with. Now, I don't know the science 100%, and I don't know if the science pertains completely to cattle. But I do know some of it, and I know that certain people, you know, when you're talking about people, have less fat cells in general than other people. And that's one factor involved, you know. There's other factors, so don't get me lying on all that. But the point is that those factors, that those people can eat just about anything, sometimes even more calories than we can. Like, I have a brother, he can eat 5,000–6,000 calories in a day. I mean, I'm eating about 2,500 calories in a day, you know. And if I go to eating more than that, then I either need to start working out hard or I start putting on some weight. There's just no getting around it. But he can eat, you know, 5,000 calories a day and not ever know it. So the point is that those cows that aren't gaining real well, don't assume that they're not eating the same amount of food. Don't assume that they're not eating the same amount of grass. So we were able to get rid of those, get those hard gainers off, you know, sell them off when the price was high. But then there's a few other things we did, okay, guys? And one of those things was we didn't get very much rain at all, but every now and then we'd get a little rain, okay? Just a little bit. I'm talking about a splash here and there, you know. And so what we would do is just before that rain, I wouldn't brush hog too soon. I didn't want to get out there and just I didn't want to get out there and just take all the grass away, because it's like, well, what happens if you do run out of forage? You know, if those cows get real hungry, they'll start eating those weeds. So it's like, you don't know for sure. So I didn't want to get out there and just take it all off immediately. So instead, what I did was I waited until I saw some rain in the forecast, and it seemed like there was a pretty good chance where I'd get it. And then I'd go out there and brush hog the field. You know, and it was all, you know, of course I stuck to all the other rules to where I made sure it was a pasture that had been grazed recently and all like that. But I'd go out there and brush hog that, and I'd lay all that litter down, lay it all down on the ground. And then when that rain came, then that just caught all of that grass. And sure enough, I mean, it caught all of that water. And sure enough, we would just start seeing all kinds of grass coming up out of that. And it was really good, okay? That right there in itself has helped a lot. Another thing is we've increased our moving. We've moved more, and that's one reason why I've slacked off just a little bit on our videos here and there. Is, you know, we've increased our work. We've started moving heavier. We've had to with this drought, and that's helped a lot. We haven't done that completely, but even like this place over here, this place is down the road from our place. We've started loading the whole herd up and bringing them over here and then moving them back. And that helps a lot in the recovery. It helps. It's huge, okay? We've done those things. And then there's another thing that we did, and this kind of goes back to everything else that we've done, and that is we've left as much forage as we can. And this is just a basic principle that you should always follow, but we've left as much forage, even some of the weeds behind, as we could. As I talked about just a minute ago, with the forage that we waited, we took forage, and instead of cutting it down just any old time, we waited until just before the rain before we would cut it away, even if it had a lot of weeds in it. And the reason is because when you get dew in the morning, okay, you get a certain dew point. When you get dew in the morning, if you get dew, let's just say for a minute, I'm gonna try to go down. Let's go down right in here. You got a little bare spot. Let's just say your whole ground looks like that right there. All right. If your whole ground looks like that, you get dew. You build dew on your surface area. No matter how much surface area you get a certain amount of dew on that surface area depending on the dew point of your area. Okay? So for our area, we would get a X amount of dew point across this surface, all right? But if we get all of this forage, and you come out and you have all of this forage and your ground surface, that's more surface area for dew to build up on. So that means that the more forage you have, the higher, the more dew point, the more dew coverage you're actually getting per square inch, whatever you want to call it, square whatever, you know, per little bit of, you know, X amount of surface area, that's that much more surface for dew to build up on. Okay, so even in some of these more weedy areas, I have walked out into my areas that are more weedy versus less weedy. Okay, and I'm not, you know, like I said, I don't like weeds, but you look out here and there's surface area, a lot of surface area to build up dew. Okay, now some of that dew gets evaporated from the sun, but some of it you can guarantee on a dry, hot day, some of that dew is seriously helping to keep that ground greener and to keep that forage growing. And I know it's true. I've been able to prove it out here because I'm telling you guys, there are people right now that are feeding hay right now. And if you're feeding hay right now, guys, I'm sorry. I feel terrible for you. And I'm not saying that there's anything you can do. There's, you know, you may have done all you can do, and we may have to start feeding hay soon. What I'm saying is that's not a good place to be. And I sure hope that you make it through all of this, if that is what you're doing. Well, what I'm trying to say is that these factors have added up. All of these different things that I've done have added up significantly and given us the ability to hold on in the face of horrible odds. All right, I don't think we would be able to hold on without these different principles that we've done. So anyway, guys, I'm going to sign off. There's a lot more little things here and there that we can do, and I may do another video touching on more of this. And there's, like I said, none of us are out of the woods yet. You know, we may stay dry. And here's the thing, it's also going to hurt our stockpile. Now, we've never been able to store stockpile as well here in the south as some of y'all up north, just because of the type of forage. But I can stockpile some, you know, fall stockpile for sure. But this drought may mess a lot of that up. We may be completely bare before it's all done. We don't know. But anyway, guys, we're all going to try to stick together through this. If for anybody that is hurting out there, I feel for you. I know it's going to get tough, and I hope it gets better for all of us. But anyway, guys, I'm going to sign off. And as always, if you've liked these videos or you found them helpful, I would really appreciate it if you would like and if you'd hit that subscribe button. And it really does help. Anybody that's made it this far in the video, it helps a lot if you're watching the whole video. That helps me so much, guys. So as always, please like and subscribe.